So one thing you saw me try and fail on a couple times was the gill in the overview videos. So one thing I tried, I'm going to just throw all these gills, just alt tapping them. I'm just going to throw them all to the top here, holding down shift and then hitting that bent arrow key and control E, which is my shortcut to merge down, which is subtool merge. And then I'm just going to work on half of this object. So I'm going to hit X to go out of X symmetry mode. And then go to delete hidden, geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. And so I tried a couple of I'm going to inflate these, and then I'm going to polish by features, which a feature is a poly group or a creased edge, but I don't really have any. I'll just make them all the same poly group, control W. And then I'll do a polish by features. And then I tried doing something like clip curve, and just kind of like clipping, not clip, sorry, slice curve. Slicing through, getting different poly groups on this thing. And now that I have poly groups here, those are considered features. So now when I do a polish by features, it'll start, turn on open circle. It'll start, oh, I need to go ahead and divide these into separate objects. So now when I Dynamesh, I'm going to turn on groups and Dynamesh, and that Dynameshes them all in separate pieces, so I can control shift 1, control shift A, and now they're all one object. So what I can do is do an auto groups on this thing, poly groups, auto groups for your in your tool menu, and now I can do a polish by features. There we go. So now it'll polish them all separately, kind of similar to what I did. And if I like that, I can do a mirror and weld across the X. But not really what I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead, and then you can go ahead and sculpt on these or whatever you want. But I'm going to delete that. And we're just going to very quickly make a custom, kind of like we did with the scales, not a plane. I want a cube. Make polymesh 3D, W, shrink it down. Let's go ahead and make it geometry, zero mesher, not zero mesh, Dynamesh. Project, blur, turn down the resolution a little bit, hit X to go across the X symmetry, use clip, hold down control shift, and I'm just going to kind of make a gill shape here. And then we can use trim dynamic, preferences, edit. Smooth, I don't even know what it's supposed to look like here. So just like standard brush, I suppose, clay brush. Give it some spines. Oops. Now on a thin mesh, you want to make sure you go into auto masking with your clay brush, for example, and turn on backface. And your standard brush. So standard brush, and then clay brush. There we go. And then we can go, okay, this thing's going to be like, hold down Alt, and do this, and then don't hold down Alt, and do this, and then grab your snake hook brush, and do this. Now I'm going to be dragging this out on a curve, so just like my insert mesh brushes, I'm going to want to simplify this down a little bit. So I'm going to go to my Z plugin, Decimation Master, and get this as low as I possibly can. So hit preprocess current, and just make this like maybe 1K. Let's try that. Decimate. And if that's too low, you can go right back up. You don't have to reprocess. Just hit 3 and enter. 3K. Good enough. So what I'm going to do is from this, I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to go to Brush, Create Insert Mesh, New. Go back to our head here. And I'm going to drag out an Insert Mesh curve. Now, if I try and drag out a curve that has subdivision levels, I might have to delete them and reconstruct them later, or you can just append a sphere and just hide it somewhere that has no subdivision levels and then just draw on that. It'll snap to anything that's visible. But this one doesn't have subdivisions, so we're fine. I'm going to go to B, grab my new insert mesh brush, and right now it's just going to do this. Not exactly what I want. So I need to go to stroke, curve. I'm just going to open up all of these by holding down shift and hit curve mode. So now when I drag it out, it'll be curve mode. And it looks like I captured them in the wrong direction. So undo that, go back to this one. Need to capture them. I captured them like this. I need to capture them like this. Brush, create insert mesh, new, go to stroke, turn on curve mode, go back to our head. There we go. So now all the points are coming out this way. So the curve is actually snapping to the surface. I'm going to drag my stroke menu over here. And that's because we have bend. Bend is on so I can actually bend this curve. And snap is on so it's snapping to the surface. Now if I make my brush size bigger, you'll see it turns blue here. So if I hit S here, it's a blue. And that just means I can modify finer points or bigger points on my curve. If I go away and the cursor turns red, that's the size of my curve. So now if I tap, it makes those gills bigger. Now just like when you were doing insert mesh brushes, you can make them thinner by dropping your Z intensity down, or you can make them fatter by going over here to your, not your stroke, but your brush. So you got stroke and brush. You can go over here to your modifiers and your strength multiplier. So you can make this 2, for example, and that'll make them even thicker. So I'll keep it at 2. And of course you make your brush size bigger, make these bigger. Now I also wanted to taper at the start and the beginning, so it goes from small to big to small. So I need to go to my stroke menu that I dragged over here, and I'm going to turn on intensity and size, and my curve fall off. I'm going to go to small to big to small. Tap my curve to update it, and now it goes super small, super thin to big to small. I don't need it to go to a point, so I'm going to drag this up and drag this up. There we go. So now it goes from smaller to bigger to smaller, and it also looks like what I need to do is I'm going to make it about this size. I'm going to drag it where I want it to go. I'm going to increase the brush size, and you can finagle where that curve is too. Make your brush size bigger, bigger. Oh, not that big. Okay, about this size, and then I can tap anywhere on my mesh away from the curve, because if I tap on my curve, it's going to want to touch it. Tap on my mesh away from my curve, do a quick hide point split hidden, or go here to split to unmask points, and now my gills are in their own subtool here, so now I can kind of move these around. I can go in here and rotate this whole thing around. I can auto group them. All sorts of things. I can go here and inflate them, just kind of run an inflate on them really quick. So all sorts of things. I can go back in here with snake hook and make them more pointy, however you want to do it. And of course, oh, I've got it on both sides now. You can also control shift and just drag a copy and kind of finagle them in, or you can just drag out a new curve from your sweet new gill brush. And of course, if you like your gill brush with all these settings, you're going to want to save it. So brush, save as. R7, you can save it in your Z brushes if you just want to go and load it up when you use it every once in a while. Throw it in your creature folder. We'll just call it gill brush, and we're off to the races.